This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about Visualforce programming. So we will see what exactly the Visualforce programming, what is the use, why should we go for the Visualforce programming. So at what scenarios we can go with Visualforce programming, what are the various use cases especially which enforce you to go with that Visualforce pages, and how to design the Visualforce pages in Salesforce, and what are the various components are available in each and every Visualforce page, and what kind of principles, rules, standards, syntactical rules that we need to follow upon preparing the Visualforce pages, and how can we design the user interfaces according to the customer requirement, how can we implement the custom business logics based on the application requirement. We'll see practically. Okay. Now, so now tell me, why should we go for this Visualforce pages especially? What is the need? Designing the dynamic user interface, okay. But sometimes, generally, those user interfaces we are using to manage the records only, right? No. In this case, to manage the records only, we are using user interfaces, like to insert the records, update the records, delete the records. To manage those records only, we are using user interface. But whenever I'm creating an object in Salesforce, by default, Salesforce is providing a tab. The tab is providing user interfaces. We are using that user interface. Then why should we go for Visualforce?
User want to display the table in more than two columns.
Okay. Right. There is a requirement like whenever I'm using that user interface which has been given by Salesforce, upon creating an object, Salesforce is providing a tab to me. That means some set of user interfaces which we can use to manage the records. Upon placing the fields on my page layout or the user interface, the page layout is having some limitation that we can arrange the fields in maximum of 2 columns inside a single section. Okay, in a section we can able to arrange the fields in maximum of 2 columns, not more than that. Either 1 column or 2 columns we can arrange the fields. But there might be some requirement where my customer is expecting me to arrange that fields in more than 2 columns, like 3 columns, 4 columns, 5 columns, 10 columns. At that time, page layout customization won't support. In this case, we can go with that, our own customized user interfaces by using Visualforce programming. That is one case. Okay. Next. To create more than one records at a time. Okay. Second use case. Customizing the home page, right? So now whatever the tab home page is available, now for example, when I click on this accounts tab, the immediate view will be visible. This is called as the tab home page. In this tab home page, we are having so many options are available, like we are having that enhanced list view control is available, we have the recent records section is available, we have a reports section, tools section. These are all the features are available, which is a fixed user interface. It's a static user interface which we can't change. These options we can't remove, these options we can't add again, because these options are fixed options. These sections are fixed sections. We can't remove these options which have been given by Salesforce. In this case, whenever you got a requirement to customize this tab home page, the only solution is Visualforce. Right. Next. Colors. Okay, right. In order to apply some different colors, like whatever the page layout has been given by Salesforce, for that one we are selecting some styles. Okay. Now if this background color is not looking like good for me, okay, this text color is not good, this font is not good, This style is not good. I want to do some makeup for my user interface so that it will look like attractive. Okay, I want to do some makeup for my user interface, so I want to change the background colors, text colors, font styles, and then for the button styles also I want to display in a different format. But at that time, now the page layout will not be getting supported over here. At that time, we can go with that Visualforce, right? Pagination, okay. We can implement our own custom paginations also by using that Visualforce, okay, right? That's what we have discussed. Multiple columns we can add inside a section. Right. Whenever if you want to add any additional buttons on your records a detailed page, the solution is Visualforce. Okay, right? Okay, right. Data transfer. Sometimes here, when you click on that button control, the user has to be go to some different page. There, I would like to pass the data from one page to another page, right? Right, depends upon your requirement here. Sometimes my customer is expecting the user interface like this. For example, my customer is expecting the user interface like this. Sometimes my customer is expecting the user interface like this. Let me explain. Sometimes my user is expecting the user interface like this. So I want a user interface where I want to display the records inside my object over here, inside my table or format. But in the background, okay, in the background, somebody is creating some records. Okay, in the background, through Apex programming, somebody is creating some records. Through data loader also, integration also, somebody is creating some records. I want to refresh those records inside my user interface. That means what? For each and every 10 fraction of seconds, I want to refresh this page. Okay, I want to refresh this page for every 10 fraction of seconds. It has to collect the latest data. It has to get visible. Like for example, when you go to the cricket score, okay, when you go to some cricket scoreboard, each and every for every ball for every fraction of seconds, it is keep on refreshing so that it will display the latest score information to you. Okay, when you go to that some stock market, okay, when you go to some stock market, the stock values is keep on changing. Okay, the share market values are keep on changing for a fraction of seconds. At that time, to update those values very fastly, we are going to be using their own customized implementations. Okay, they would like to refresh the data always. In this case, we can go with that Visualforce programming. Through Visualforce programming, here we can able to use some Ajax functionality. With the help of this Ajax functionality, we can able to refresh the page for each and every few fraction of seconds. Like when you go to your developer console, whatever the code that I have written inside the developer console, for every 10 fraction of second, the code will be sending to that force platform for the compilation process automatically. Like the similar way, I want a user interface which has to be get refreshed for each and every 10 fraction of seconds automatically. It has to collect the latest data. That latest data has to be get visible to me over here. Okay. So at that time, we can go with that Visualforce programming. Next, sometimes the user will be expecting the functionalities like this. Sometimes the user is expecting, the customer is expecting, I want to display the records. Okay, I want to collect the records from my object here. I want to display those records inside my user interface in the tabular format. Generally, now tell me, by using user interface, how many records can he delete at a time? Only one. Open the record, click on delete button, record will be deleted. Then open the second record, click on delete button, record will be deleted. So one by one, I would like to remove the records. But sometimes I need a facility that I would like to remove multiple records in one shot. For that one, I want to display the records information inside my Visualforce page where I want to display each and every record along with a checkbox here. Okay, along with a checkbox. Now I would like to delete here. The two, these records are not from the same object. Okay, these records are not from the same object here. Some records are account lead records, some records are contact records, some records are account records also. Different records are available here inside this. Okay, different object records I am able to display in a single user interface itself. That possibility is available to you. Okay, now. So now here in this case, I want to delete all these records. In my table, not only the lead records, we are having multiple object records are available. Let me explain what object records are available. So inside this, we are having lead records, contact records. Okay, I'm having the lead records and the contact records. So inside my user interface. Okay, some of the records are lead records, some of the records are contact records available. I want to remove these records in one shot. So when I click on that select all the checkboxes has to be get selected. That means here lead records checkboxes and the contact record checkboxes, everything has been getting selected. When I click on that delete button, automatically all the records has to be get removed from my objects in one shot. Okay, it has to remove lead records, contact records in one shot itself. Okay, I don't want to remove the records separately from each and every object. I want to collect all the lead records and contact records. I'm displaying over here, and then we can able to select that checkbox and then remove those records in one shot also. Multiple object records we can remove. Suppose if you want to select only some specific record, just click on that unselect button. So we can select the records whatever you want to remove. Select the records, what lead records you want to remove, and then what contact records you would like to remove. These are the contact records are available. Okay, after selecting these records, once you click on that, like a test contact 3 to test contact 9, I'm selecting this one, and the lead records also here. Okay, the testing 5, testing 7, these are the records I've selected. Once you click on the delete button, automatically selected record has to be get removed. The records has been removed from there over here. Okay, test contact 3 to test contact 9 has been removed. I want to delete that multiple object records in one shot. This kind of facility the customer is expecting at that time, we can able to go with that Visualforce programming. We can able to display all the records along with the checkboxes. We can select those checkboxes or we can unselect those checkboxes, depends upon your requirement here. Okay, so in this kind of scenario, whenever you got this kind of requirements, then we can go with that Visualforce programming. Okay, we can go with that Visualforce programming. So depends upon that customize the user interfaces. Okay, now let me explain here one more time. Whenever we are executing or implementing the application functionality, even though Salesforce has given a separate tab for each and every object to manage the records available inside that object, but there are some exceptional cases will be getting arise upon application development, which enforce you to go to that development part, especially to design your own customized user interfaces. Okay, now what are those scenarios? The first scenario is whenever you are customizing the page layouts, if the customer wants to arrange the fields in more than 2 columns, at that time we can go with that Visualforce programming, because page layout customization will allow you to arrange the fields in maximum of either 1 or 2 columns here, not more than that. If you want to arrange the fields in more than 2 columns, then the solution is Visualforce. Okay, that is the first use case. Second one, whenever if you got any requirement to customize the tab home page, okay, to customize the tab home page, at that time the only solution is Visualforce, because tab home page which has been given by Salesforce, the tab home page we can't customize, we can't remove those options here. But sometimes the client requirement will be completely different. Okay, the client requirement will be completely different, like this here. Sometimes the client's requirement will be completely different. Like my client is expecting the customizations like this here. Now, so they're giving that requirement like this. When you click on that accounts tab, the immediate view must be modified as follows. Okay, so this is my tab bar is available. On this tab bar, I'm having so many tabs are available. From those tabs, I'm having a tab called as accounts tab. So now, as soon as once you click on the second tab, immediate view. Immediate view means what here? Immediate page. Okay, page means what? This is the user interface here. So this is the tab home page is getting visible to you by default. The what they're expecting? The immediate view must be modified as follows. They would like to do some customization here. What is that customization? Remove the highlighted links. Now inside my tab home page of that account object, we are having the recent records section is available. We have reports section, tools section. But in this case, whatever the links they have highlighted with the red color, they ask us to remove those highlighted links. Like as inside the reports section, they don't want this account to owners option. In the tools section, they don't want all these links over here. They want us to remove. Now tell me, can we customize this tab home page? No. Tab home page we can't customize. Whenever you got the requirement to customize the tab home page, say confidently that is not configurable. We have to go with Visualforce programming only. Okay, this is the second requirement, which especially enforce you to go to the Visualforce programming. Next, the third one. The third requirement here. The third requirement is whenever if you want to add your own customized buttons. Okay, if you want to add some customized buttons, like for example, I'm having a record page, detail page is there. Okay, so Reliance Industries, the record is available here. So I want the detail page over here. This is the detail page. On this detail page, I want a button control here. Okay, I want a button control in order to show like as a download. Okay, I want to show a button control with the name download. When I click on that download button, whatever the account record information is available, related contacts information, related opportunities information, cases information, everything it has to collect, it has to place inside a PDF file. That PDF file has to be downloading into my local system automatically. I want that functionality here. Okay, when I click on that download button, whatever the data that we have inside my record, account record and the related contacts, opportunities, cases, everything I want to collect, I want to place in the separate tables. I want to place that whole information inside a single file. I want to prepare like as a PDF file. That PDF file I want to download into my local system here. I want that kind of functionality. But that is not available ready-madely. So at that time, we can able to go with that Visualforce programming. Whenever if you want to add any custom button, then we need that Visualforce page here. Why? Because is whatever the buttons that we have, behind every button control, there is a Visualforce page. Okay, behind every button control, there is a Visualforce page. It may be new button, edit button, save button, cancel button, and then edit button, delete button, sharing button. Whatever the buttons are available on your user interface, behind every button control, there is a Visualforce page, which has been given by Salesforce by default here. Okay, now let me show you the practical proof for you. Go to that setup, go to the customize, take any of the object, whatever you want. For example, I'm taking these accounts. When you go to that buttons, links, and actions section, okay, when you go to that buttons, links, and actions section, it is indicating what buttons are available. This is the tab, accounts tab is available. Add it to call list button. Add it to call list button also. For that mass creation, this is for the single. Add it to campaign button. Billing link. Check for new data. Clean button. Delete. And then discover companies. Edit button. And then get more accounts. List button. Okay, list button. That means view. Okay, view button. New button. Okay, and then view button. and then view account history. These are all of the various buttons and links are available. Behind this every button and then link, you will be having a page. It is indicating clearly. So now behind every button control, there is a page here, which has been given by Salesforce by default to you. Content source, that means upon click on this button control, where it will go. So this is the page. There is a standard page which has been given by Salesforce. That page will be getting redirected over here. Okay. So in this case here, upon click on the delete button, it will be having a separate page is available. When you click on the delete button, there is a separate page is available here. When you click on that new button also, there is a separate page is available. For the new button control, there is a separate page. View button, there is a separate page. List button, there is a separate page. For every button control, whatever we have on your page layout, behind every button control, there is a Visualforce page. But those pages have been given by Salesforce to you in the form of tab. That's what I told you in the starting classes itself. When coming to the tab, tab is not a single page. Tab is a providing collection of user interfaces. These many number of user interfaces has been given by Salesforce to you, but all these are available on the tab here. Once you click on the tab, we are having that home page. From there, we can go to the different user interfaces. So that tab is nothing but a collection of graphical user interfaces which are used to manage the records inside that object. So that, like the similar way, if you want to add your own custom button control, new button control, if you want to add a new custom button control, at that time we have to specify that here. Okay, we have to specify which page you would like to display over here. Okay, what is the behavior, what type of button control that you want, what is the content source. Okay, what is the Visualforce page that you want to display. Upon click on that, we can specify that whole information. Behind every button control, there should be a Visualforce page in the back end. Okay, but generally the user doesn't know all these things. Okay, now in this case, upon click on the button control, it is providing some separate user interface that will be coming up because of that some backend business logic which has been written by Salesforce. Okay, now, so like the similar way on your user interface, if you want some more custom buttons, then we can able to add your own custom buttons also. When you click on that custom button control, what page you want to make it visible, at that time we can able to design your own page. Then we can able to specify that page name here, what page you want to make it visible on that here. Depends upon your requirement. Okay, clear now? So now the next one here, whenever if you want to customize the look and feel of your standard pages, if you want to customize the look and feel, like as whatever the page layout has been given by Salesforce, for this page layout we are having some background colors are available. If you want to change this background colors, if you want to apply your own color, your own styles, your own font, your own size, at that time it will not be possible for the standard user interfaces. These are fixed user interfaces which has been given by Salesforce. If you want to apply, then at that time design your own Visualforce page exactly with the same format. Okay, exactly with the same format, design your own Visualforce pages and then apply your own colors, your own style, your own font, your own size, whatever you want. That facility is available to you. By designing our own customized user interfaces, we can apply our own colors and the background images, styles, pictures, anything whatever you want, we can able to add. That facility is available to make your user interface look like attractive. Okay, now, so these are few scenarios which especially enforce you to go to that Visualforce programming. Okay, clear? Because it's a common question. Salesforce is giving so many user interfaces to you by default, then why should we go for Visualforce programming? At that time, you should be able to explain these are some limitations are available. That's what we need to go with that Visualforce programming here. Sometimes my customer is expecting the user interface like this. Sometimes my customer is expecting the user interface like this here. My customer is expecting the user interface like this. So this is the user interface my customer is expecting right now. I want a user interface like this. Now tell me, do we have this kind of user interface ready-madely with you? No, we don't have this kind of user interface, because whenever I'm having the tab, upon click on the tab homepage will be getting visible. But on the top of the tab homepage, we are having that enhanced list view control by default here. Okay, always Salesforce is following a standard format. Upon click on that any tab homepage will be getting visible to you. On the top of the tab homepage, enhanced list view is available. You can take any object also, standard object also, custom object also, anything whatever you want here. Anything you want here. You can take anything whatever you want. At that time, on the top of the tab homepage, you will be having that enhanced list view. But sometimes my customer is expecting the user interface like this. Let me show you that. Click on search accounts. Now the customer is expecting the user interface like this. On the top of this user interface, he wants that enhanced list view. He wants that search functionality where we can able to search for some content also here. I'm indicating some event. When I click on search accounts, results has to be get visible to me inside my section here. And then once the records are visible, this is the search functionality. At the bottom of the search functionality, I want that enhanced list view control. Generally, enhanced list view control is always available on top of that user interface here. But I want at the bottom place. But the tab homepage, we can't customize that. But in this case, we can design our own Visualforce page. In that Visualforce page, we can able to arrange the controls, whatever the order that you want here. That facility is available. Like this here, in this case, depends upon your requirement, depends upon the customer requirement, we can go with that Visualforce programming also. Okay, clear? Now, understood the concept here, why we are going for Visualforce programming? Yes or no? No. Now, so in this case here, whenever I'm going to that Visualforce programming, what exactly Visualforce programming basically? When coming to the Visualforce programming is a web development framework. Okay, Visualforce programming is a web development framework. So why I have used that word framework? What is the meaning of framework? Framework will allow you to utilize multiple programming languages code inside a single application. Upon designing a single page, we can use multiple programming languages code also. That facility is available as part of framework, because framework is going to be allowing that interoperability. Interoperability means what? Different programming languages code can communicate with each other also to achieve a particular task. To achieve a particular task, different programming languages code can communicate with each other also with the help of interoperability feature. So in this case, when coming to the Visualforce is a web development framework which allows us to design attractive and dynamic user interfaces. Okay, which allows us to design attractive and dynamic user interfaces. Now tell me, what do you mean by dynamic user interface? What is static web page? What is dynamic web page? Static web page means what? Which cannot be customizable, like as your online newspaper. Okay, like as your online newspaper. In that online newspaper, whatever the news is available, just we can read that news, that's it. Existing news we can't remove, existing news we can't edit, we can't add some more new news, just we can see the news whatever we have. We can't perform any other operation on that content. That will be a static user interface. But sometimes I want a dynamic mechanism. Dynamic mechanism means what? Upon click on the button control, it has to do some actions to me. Like as when you click on the button control, it has to perform some action. Like as once you click on save button, it has to save. Once you click on edit button, it has to edit. Once you click on delete button, it has to delete. Once you click on cancel, it has to perform the cancel operation. Once you click on search, it has to do the searching mechanism. But this kind of dynamic mechanism that I want, the dynamic mechanism we can able to add inside your Visualforce programming. Okay, so that Visualforce pages are not designed to the static pages, we can design dynamic user interfaces also. Okay, especially to design the dynamic user interfaces, we are using that Visualforce programming. Okay, clear? Now make a note of this one. Visualforce pages. Visualforce programming or Visualforce is a web development framework which is used to design attractive and dynamic user interfaces. Which is used to design attractive and dynamic user interfaces. In order to design the attractive and the dynamic user interfaces, we are going with that Visualforce programming. Okay, now. So here I have used the word framework. So now what is the use of framework tool basically? Framework will allow us to use multiple programming languages code inside that single application. Now here you can raise a question. Sir, here what other programming languages we can use? Whenever you are designing that user interface, as part of web technologies, so many web technologies are available here, like some HTML, DHTML, CSS, JavaScript, some scripting libraries like some jQuery, AngularJS, Knockout.js, Extension.js, Backbone.js, and MeanStack and Flash scripting. So many libraries are available. Okay, these libraries also we can able to include upon designing the Visualforce page. Generally, whatever the user interface we have designed, in order to make the user interface look like attractive, to apply your own styles, we are using a feature called as CSS, cascading style sheets. Okay, we are using cascading style sheets, CSS feature. So now that CSS feature also we can able to use inside your Visualforce programming. That means what? Visualforce is purely a web development framework which allows us to use HTML code, DHTML code, JavaScript code, CSS code, and then Flash scripting code, along with all the scripting libraries inside your Visualforce page designing. Upon designing your own user interface, we can use all the standard web technologies inside your Visualforce. Okay, don't think upon designing that user interface we have to use only Visualforce programming. We can use other standard web technologies code also. HTML code also we can use, DHTML also, CSS also, JavaScript also, AngularJS also, Knockout.js also, MeanStack also, Flash scripting, everything we can use. We can combine this whole programming codes into a single page itself here. Okay, that facility is available to you. Okay, that facility is available. That's what I have given that word Visualforce is a web development framework. Okay, clear? So now in this case, when coming to the Visualforce programming, upon designing that Visualforce page, we can use all the standard web technologies like JavaScript, HTML, DHTML, CSS, all the scripting libraries, Flash scripting, everything we can able to combine into a single page code itself. Okay, clear? Now, so now you can raise the question, sir, we need to learn all these things now. Not required. Okay, not required. Okay, these are all are not required here. Just we can use JavaScript programming here. Okay, just we can use some a little bit JavaScript as part of that client-side validations and some CSS. We'll see those as part of that course. We'll see how to use JavaScript and how to use that CSS also over there. Okay, now make a note over here. Upon designing the Visualforce page, we can use all the standard web technologies like HTML, DHTML, CSS, JavaScript, JScript, VBScript, AngularJS, Knockout.js, Extension.js, Backbone.js, MeanStack, Flash scripting, etc. So all these scripting languages we can able to use upon designing the Visualforce page to make it attractive, to make it look like attractive, to do some makeup, and then to make the user interface look like rich in look and feel. We are using this all these web technologies also. If required, you can use. Not required here, basically. So now tell me, by using Visualforce page, what we can design? We can design customize the user interfaces. By default, Salesforce is providing so many user interfaces to us in the form of page layouts, in the form of tabs, okay, in the form of lookup dialogues. But those are not sufficient. My requirement is completely different. At that time, we can design our own customized user interfaces, business specific, application specific, and customer specific. We can design our own user interfaces also. So that by using Visualforce programming, we can design our own customized user interfaces. Okay, now make a note over here. By using Visualforce, we can design the customized user interfaces. By using Visualforce, we can design customized user interfaces according to the application or business requirement. According to the application requirement or business requirement, we can design our own customized user interfaces. Done? Now, so in this case, how this Visualforce programming code look likes? As of now, we have discussed Apex programming code. Apex programming code is looking like as a C programming code, C++ code, Java code, .NET code. But how this Visualforce programming code look like? HTML. Okay, so that when coming to the Visualforce programming code will be looking like as your HTML. In HTML, everything is tag based. Okay, everything will be tag based. You will be having so many tags as part of HTML. Like the similar way, in Visualforce also we are having so many tags are available here, which has been given by Salesforce by default. So Visualforce is a tag-based programming language, which will be looks like as your HTML tags. Okay, Visualforce is purely a tag-based programming here. We don't have classes, we don't have methods, we don't have variables, nothing. We're having everything is tags. These tags are also called as components. Okay, these tags are also called as components internally here. Okay, now in this case, when coming to the Visualforce is purely a tag-based programming language looking like as HTML. Everything will be designed with the help of tags. Okay, now make a note here. Visualforce is a tag-based programming like as HTML. It provides a collection of built-in tags, a collection of built-in tags to be used to design the user interface. It provides a collection of built-in tags to be used to design the user interface. In order to design that user interface, we can use these tags. Okay, done? Now, So in this case, whenever we are going to be using these tags, do we need to follow any case sensitivity as part of this Visualforce programming? No. Even though I'm going to be designing the complete user interface by using the tags, here we no need to follow any case sensitivity. Okay, we no need to follow any case sensitivity because here Visualforce is purely a non-case sensitive programming. It's not a case sensitive. Upon writing the tags, okay, upon using those tags, no need to follow any case sensitivity like as, so now the starting character will be like as uppercase and then remaining characters are lowercase, not like that. We can able to use either uppercase or lowercase or combination also, everything we can able to use that. That facility is available to you. Okay, now make a note here. Visualforce is not a case sensitive programming. Visualforce is not a case sensitive programming. Upon designing the user interface, we can use any character case. Upon designing the user interface, we can use any character case. Either uppercase, lowercase, combination, anything we can use. No problem. Done? Now. So when coming to the Visualforce programming, Visualforce is purely supporting XML style of syntax. Okay, Visualforce is purely supporting XML style of syntax. XML means what? What is the XML stands for? Extensible markup language. Why we are using XML generally? XML is mainly we are using for the cross-platform communication. Okay, for the cross-platform communication, we are using that XML, and along with that, we can use that XML files for the offline storage of data also. Okay, offline storage of data also we can do with the help of XML. That possibility is available to you. Okay, now, so XML is the only programming language which can be understandable by all the programming languages, all the technologies, all the databases, all the applications, all the servers, and all the platforms. So that this is using especially for the cross-platform communication. That means especially for the integrations, they have used XML. You can take any integration tool, whatever you have in the IT industry, every integration tool internally using XML format. Because XML is a universal markup language which can be understandable by every programming language, every technology, every database, and every operating system also. Okay, so now that's what here they are going to be using that XML. But in XML, two major principles are available. Okay, in XML, we have two major principles are available. The first principle is XML is purely a case sensitive. Okay, XML is purely a case sensitive. We have to take care about the uppercase and the lowercase letters. Next, the second principle is XML is also a tag based. Okay, XML is also a tag based programming. We are having so many tag based programmings are available. Like as for example, we are having HTML, which is also tag based. We are using that DHTML, that is also tag based. XML, that is also tag based here. And we are having that XSD, XML schema designer, and then XPath and XCopy. Okay, XCopy. And then you are having your Visualforce programming. You are having ASP, ASP.NET, and then your JSP from that Java. So many tag-based programming languages are available over here. That every programming language is offering some set of built-in tags which will be supported by that programming language to you. Okay, now, so in this case, when you observe this particular tag-based programmings, these all are childs of a programming called as SGML. Okay, XGML is the root. It's a root level markup language, standard generalization markup language. Okay, standard generalization markup language, which is the root language for all the markup languages. What are the markup languages that we are using right now? HTML, DHTML, XML, XSD, XPath, XCopy, Visualforce, whatever the things are available, these all are derived from HTML only. Okay, these all are derived from HTML only. It's a root. It's a root markup language here. These are all are parts of that HTML. So whatever the principles they have offered in HTML, the same principles they have followed in every the markup languages also here. These are all are subsets of HTML. Okay, HTML is the root markup language that we have, standard generalization markup language. Okay, now, so in this case, when coming to that markup languages, especially XML, we are using in order to have that cross-platform communication over here. Okay, now in XML, we don't have any ready-made tags. Okay, the second principle is in that XML, we don't have any ready-made tags. Every tag should be a user-defined tags. We can give your own name for your tags. Okay, you can give your own name for your tag here. Whatever the name that you want, we can provide. For example, I want to define a tag over here, like as some employee. Okay, employee, and this is the by employee. Okay, so now just the syntactically is different. That's it. For example, I'm writing an if condition. How I am writing this if condition? If we can specify some conditions over here, and we can specify the block, starting of the block and the ending of the block here by using the two flower braces. One is the starting, second one is ending. If I'm preparing a class, we can specify class, we can specify the class name, and then we are using that starting braces, ending braces to indicate the block of statements. Like the similar way to indicate a block of statement, we are using, instead of using the flower braces here, we are using tag. So this is the starting tag, this is the ending tag here. Ending tag should be always prefixed with that a forward slash. Okay, ending tag should be always prefixed with that forward slash. It's a principle. Okay, you can go with any tag based programming, the same principle. This is the starting tag, this is the ending tag. That means this will be looking like as your starting braces, this will be looking like as your ending braces over here. That's it. Okay, programming language to programming language, some different syntaxes are followed here. There were rules. Okay, nothing else, but internal functionality will be almost similar. Okay, now in this case here, when you go to that XML programming, we don't have any ready-made tags. Every tags are user different tags only. Suppose if you want to give the tag with your name, like as some Suresh, we can define. Okay, starting Suresh and then ending of that Suresh here. Okay, now by Suresh. We can define your own tags also, whatever you want. There is no specific rules. We don't have any tags in that XML programming. Every tag is a user defined tag. We can define your own tags with your own name. But upon defining the tag, the principle is every starting tag should have the corresponding ending tag. Okay, every starting tag should have the corresponding ending tags. These kind of tags are called as dependent tags. Okay, these are called as dependent tags. Sometimes when you go to that HTML, in HTML we are having two types of tags. Dependent tags, independent tags are also available. Okay, dependent tags, independent tags. Dependent tags means what? You know some of the HTML tags already, you are aware of that. Like as HTML starting by HTML. You know that here. Now the bold tag, starting bold tag, ending bold tag. We are having that italic tag, starting italic tag, ending italic tag. That means what? Now the starting tag is having the corresponding ending tag. These are called as dependent tags. Now as part of HTML, we are having a tag called as image tag. So now we can specify that image source, nothing but we can specify that image source, where exactly the image is available here, which you want to display. And then we can specify the navigate URL. That means upon click on that image, which URL you would like to redirect over here. And then we can specify the alternate text. Alternate text. That means upon placing the mouse pointer on that image, what content, what message you want to display. We can specify that. That's it. But we don't have any ending tag for your image. Okay, we don't have any ending tag for that image tag over here. Okay, we don't have any ending tag for your image tag here. That means what? This kind of tags are called as independent tags. Independent tags doesn't have any closing tag here. There is no ending tag, which will be only purely that starting tag will be available. There is no ending tag will be available to you over here. This kind of tags are called as independent tags. But when coming to the Visualforce, okay, Visualforce is purely supporting XML style of syntax where every starting tag should have the corresponding ending tag. But thank God, Visualforce is not case sensitive. Even though Visualforce is purely supporting XML style of syntax, but XML is having two major principles. Every tag should be a dependent tag, and XML is purely case sensitive. Like for example, in XML, upon defining this employee tag, starting employee, ending employee. So in this ending tag, if I'm giving that E as small, it will give the error message to you. Okay, it will give the error message here because it is purely comparing the characters also. So we have to enter in the correct format only. So because upon defining the tag here, we have specified E as capital. Upon closing also, we have to follow the same rule. We have to specify the capital E only. If I'm giving that small e, it will be giving that error message to you. Okay. So now in this case, when coming to the XML, XML is purely the case sensitive. That too, every tag should be a dependent tag here. Okay. But when coming to the Visualforce programming is purely supporting that XML style of syntax. But okay, not all the principles. When coming to the Visualforce, every tag should be a dependent tag, but Visualforce is not a case sensitive. Okay, Visualforce is not a case sensitive. That means in Visualforce, every starting tag should have the corresponding ending tag. Okay, clear? Now make a note of this one. Visualforce is purely supporting XML style of syntax, where each starting tag should have the corresponding ending tag. Okay, each starting tag should have the corresponding ending tag. Okay, each starting tag should have the corresponding ending tag. But whenever we are designing that applications or implementing or developing the application by using Visualforce, Visualforce is purely supporting MVC development style. Okay, it is purely supporting MVC development style. Model, view, controller. What do you mean by model? Model in the sense model, database. Okay, database, backend part. Okay, how to design the model? Database contains what? Tables. How to create the tables? Object, creating the object, creating the fields, mapping the relationship. That's it. Okay, model part is over. And then controller means what? Business logic. How can you have to implement the business logic? Apex programming, and then validation rules, sharing rules, workflows, process builder, assignment rules, escalation rules, auto response rules, triggers. These are all comes under business logics here. Okay, user interface, nothing but view. View means what? User interface. User interface means what? Tabs, page layouts, and then lookup dialogues, and then we are having your Visualforce pages. Okay, that means here whenever you are developing the application by using Visualforce, we need these three layers mandatorily: model part, view part, controller part. All these three layers are mandatory. Okay, clear? Now Visualforce supports the MVC, model, view, controller, MVC development style. Visualforce supports the MVC development style. Okay, so now whenever we are going to be implementing that Visualforce pages, upon designing that Visualforce pages, you will be having two techniques are available. Okay, upon implementing that Visualforce or any web page, any programming language, we are having two techniques. One is in-page technique. Second one is code behind the technique. Okay. Upon implementing that user interfaces, we are having two techniques: in-page technique and then code behind the technique. So what do you mean by in-page technique and what do you mean by code behind the technique over here? Okay. Now let's see practically in this case. Now, for example, okay. So let me explain here. Assume that I have a login screen. Okay, I have a login screen. Login page. In this login page, I'm having two text boxes are available. In order to enter your username and the password, and second one is to enter the password. I'm entering the username and the password. Then I would like to place some two button controls. A login button, cancel button. We have to provide the username and then we have to provide the password. Here I'm providing that save button. I'm providing that cancel button. Two buttons are available. Now tell me, this is part what? User interface part or business logic part? User interface part. Okay. Now, so now for example, here I'm having my database. That means I'm having my table. Some users information is available here. Okay. Now, I need to validate the credentials. The user has entered some username, like as some Ram Kumar. This is the username, and the password is ram at the rate some 123. Okay, he has entered some username and the password. There is an end user, he is accessing my application. He has entered some username and the password inside my login page. When you click on that login button, what will happen in this case? What the login button will do? Validate your credentials. How? Count operation. Okay, that means it is executing some business logic here, because my user interface is not having that much of intelligence to which a database it has to connect, to which a table it has to connect, in which columns the data is available. My user interface is not having that much of intelligence. In this case here, behind this every button control, there is a business logic. That business logic is nothing but what? Business logic is available in the form of what? Class. That's it. Business logic means class. Assume that I'm having a class over here. Public class authenticate users. Authenticate users. There is a method here. Public void validate user. Here I have written some business logic. Here I have written some business logic inside my method over here. Okay, so there is a method. Inside that method I have written some business logic here, which is going to validating my credentials. Now in this case, what happened? As soon as once you click on that login button, okay, as soon as once you click on that login button, now the login button is going to be going to the respective business logic class. It will invoke this method here. Okay, it will invoke that method. So whatever the input values the user has entered, username and the password, whatever the input values the user has entered, now these two values are passing to my method. Now my method is going to be collecting these two values over here. It will collect this both the values. Once the values have been getting collected, it will go to that respective database. I'm having a database is available over here. Inside my database, I'm having the tables are available. It will connect to the respective database, verify that with this username, with this password, do we have a user record is exist or not. If the user record is exist, it will be getting the confirmation back. Now it is going to be redirecting the user to that inbox page or in the home page of that application. Suppose with this username and with this password, if we did not found any user record inside my table, it will be giving the message invalid username or password. Okay, this is the business logic it is doing here. That means what? Upon click on the login button, will my user interface will do everything? No, it is taking some help of that Apex classes here. So behind every user interface, you will be having some business logic. Okay, behind every user interface, we are having some business logic is available over here. Now in this case, behind this user interface, we are having a business logic is available. Okay. Now in this case, what happened? Every user interface contains two parts. Okay, every user interface contains two parts. One is user interface part code, and the second one is business logic part code. Okay, user interface part code and then business logic part code here. Now this user interface part code we can design by using Visualforce, and this business logic we can able to implement with the help of what? By using which programming we can do? Apex programming here. Okay, Apex programming is used to implement that business logic, and the Visualforce programming is used to design that user interface here. Now here the question is, will this both will be available inside a single file or in a two separate files? Why two separate files? Hmm. Why? Which runs on? Okay. Hmm. Validation tools are common. Why it is maintaining two different here? Different compilers, okay. It will compile that code. But at the time of execution, we have to mix this together. Without the business logic, it won't work. Without this one, that will not be worked here. Both should be mandatory here. Okay. Right. Okay. Now, so now in this case, at the time of development here, okay, at the time of development, whenever we are going to be designing any page, whatever you want, by taking any programming languages also, every user interface will be having the business logic behind this. Behind every Visualforce page or every user interface, it may be Java, .NET, PHP, wherever you go. Every Visualforce page or every user interface will be having the backend business logic. Without that, upon click on the button control, it can't perform any other operations. Because user interfaces are not having that much of capabilities to perform the operation by its own. User interfaces are only for the display purpose, nothing else. These are not able to interact with the databases. They can't perform any other operation. To perform some operation, we need to write some code by using some certain programming languages. Okay. We can take any programming languages, whatever we have in the IT industry. Behind every user interface, there is a backend business logic is there that has been written by using some different programming. Like the similar way as part of your Visualforce also, behind every Visualforce page, you will be having that the business logic is available here. Now, whenever you are developing the Visualforce programming, we are following the two techniques basically here. Okay, one is in-page technique, second one is code behind the technique. Okay, in-page technique, second one is code behind the technique. So these are the two techniques are available which we can able to follow upon designing the Visualforce pages. But code behind technique will be the most useful, and that will be supporting by that Visualforce programming. Sometime before, when the Visualforce pages are not introduced by Salesforce, at that time we are having a feature called as yes controls. Okay, when the Visualforce is not introduced by Salesforce, at that time we are having that yes controls. At that time, they're purely supported in page technique. Okay, in page technique. So, but now when they have introduced that Visualforce programming, from there they're purely changed the architecture completely. We have to follow the code behind the technique. Okay. Now, in this case, what do you mean by in-page technique? What do you mean by code behind technique? What are the drawbacks available inside the in-page technique? Now, let's see. Okay. Now, so in this case here, for example, we are having that in-page technique. Okay, we are having that in-page technique. So what do you mean by in-page technique? In-page technique in the sense, Whenever you are developing any user interface, it will be having two parts. User interface part code is available. Business logic part code is available here. Okay, user interface part code, business logic part code. So in-phase technique 5 means whatever the user interface part code, that means designing part code, and the business logic part code, business logic code. Both we are going to be writing inside a single file. Both we are going to placing inside a single file. Okay, that means user interface part code, business logic part code will be purely available inside a single file itself. Okay, now, so when you go to that, yes, controls of Salesforce. When you go to like some .NET, if anybody is aware of .NET programming, when they haven't introduced that ASP.NET, before that they're having that ASP, okay, classic ASP. Okay, they're purely using that like a single file only here. That means purely in-phase technique. In that in-phase technique, in a single file itself, they will be writing that both user interface part code and the business logic part code will be available. But whenever I'm using this user interface part code in the business logic part code in a single file, it will cause some issues. It will be causing some issues. What kind of problems will be getting arise? Now let's see practically in this case. Okay, now let me explain. When you go to your organizations, okay, you can take any organization also whatever you want. Okay, you can take any organization also whatever you want. In every organization, you will be having two types of designation people are available. Okay, now let me explain practically here. Let me explain the board so that you can understand more.
This conference will now be recorded.
Visualforce is purely supporting the code behind the technique, upon implementing the application, where designing part code will store inside a separate file. Designing part code will store inside a separate file with the extension .vfp. And the business logic code will store inside a separate file with the extension .apxc. Now, make a note. All the Visualforce pages code will get resides inside the Apex page object. You can query the data as below. Select ID of the Visualforce page, name of the Visualforce page, markup from Apex page. Done? Now, next one. The most important point here. Let me explain. As of now, we have implemented the business logic. Once the business logic has been written in terms of a class and the method, how can we invoke? Execute anonymous window. We are going to the execute anonymous window. We are calling that method. How? Class name dot method name, or by creating the object also. If it is a normal method, we are creating the object. So we have to go to that execute anonymous window, invoke that method. Where we can see the result, debug log file. Where it will visible, developer console. From execute anonymous window to debug log file, we have to come back here. Okay, we have to come back over here. So in this case, that means what? We are moving from developer console to execute anonymous window to developer console. Suppose upon executing that code, if there is any exceptions are available, then what we can do, we have to go back to the developer console, open that class code, modify that class code, save that class code again, then again go back to the execute anonymous window, invoke that class code again, come back to the developer console, see the result. That means what? Keep on, we are going to be redirecting from developer console to execute anonymous window to developer console. Keep on, we are moving to the multiple environments. One editor to another editor, one environment to another environment here. But that will be very difficult to switch from one environment to another environment always. For that one, when coming to the Visualforce programming, it is providing a real-time development style. Real time means what? On the spot, immediately we can able to see the result, where by sitting inside a single window itself, no need to go to the multiple environments. In a single window itself, we can write the code, we can save the code, we can compile the code, we can execute the code, we can see the result also, everything inside a single window itself. That facility is available as part of Visualforce programming, which is called as real-time development style. Real-time means on the spot. Immediately, we can able to see the result of your application also. Compilation result, receiving result, execution result also we can see in one place also here. That facility will be available to you. At that time, your user interface will be splitting into two parts automatically. Like previously I showed you over here, when you go to this page, when you go to this user interface, now user interface will be getting splitting into the two parts over here. Okay, so this is the result part. We can see the result over here. Now the user interface part code we can see inside this place. Okay, inside the tabs you will be having that user interface part code we can see. Business logic part code we can see over here. We can able to write here itself. And then if you want to see the tracking mechanism, here we can see the tracking mechanism also here itself. Nothing but what kind of data has been collected from that particular collection, from that object, what records you have collected, every record information. This is the practical proof to show that holistic collection is maintaining the indexes which start from 0. Okay, so what are the data that you have collected here? Based on this starting character, I'm collecting the data over here. The data has been collected, the data is stored inside my listic collection. This is the SQL query that I have written. I'm storing inside that listic collection, which will be having 4 records are available here. This is the practical proof that it's storing the records based on index position starting from 0 over here. In the 0th index position, 1 record is there. This is the record information. This is the ID value, name value, rating, industry, annual revenue, everything we can able to see. To store each and every value, how much memory it has occupied, we can able to track that information. And the second record information, second record details, third record information, fourth record information also. Now we can see each and every record information. For each record, how much memory has been getting assigned, everything we can able to see also over here. Now for the record is 0, it is allocating 0.43. Now for the record 1, that means here 0.34. Why different amount of memory here? That already told you, based on the data, right? That already told you during the classes and the objects concept. For one class, we can have multiple objects. Each and every object is having its own memory location. Each object will be having some different amount of memory also. Because in the first record have stored so much data. ID values also have stored. Okay. In the record 0, first record, ID value, name value, rating, industry, annual revenue, active status, phone, fax, these are the values I have stored. For that one to store this entire information, it is occupying 0.43 KB of memory. Now when you go to the record 2, second one, here it is having very few values here. ID, name, industry, active status, phone, and the facts. We don't have that active status field. Okay, we don't have that active status field is available here. We don't have that annual revenue also. For that one, it is occupying less amount of memory, 0.34. For the third record, it is occupying some more very less memory over here inside this. And then record 4, last record, it is having these other values are available. Here it is occupying that memory that is called as 0.35. Depends upon the values which you are going to store, memory will be calculating dynamically at runtime. That's what I told you, objects are purely supporting dynamic memory allocation. Depends upon the values which are stored, it will calculate dynamically how much memory is required. That will be calculating by the new keyword, that much of memory will be getting reserving for that particular variable over here. So this is the practical proof we can see. Okay, so in this case we can able to track that proof also here by using that the view state mechanism as part of your Visualforce programming. Okay, so everything is possible over here in this case here. Now in a single place itself we can able to write the code, and we can compile the code, we can execute, we can see the result also. Everything will be in a single window itself. No need to go to the multiple environments here. That facility will be available as part of Visualforce programming with the help of a feature called as URL format. Okay, if you want to get this URL format, then we have to enable some separate permission, okay, inside your settings. We'll see what are those settings we need to enable here. Okay, now make a note of this one. Visualforce provides the real-time development style where we can write, compile, save, execute, and view the results of the application in a single window. In a single window itself, we can perform all these operations. Like as your Apex programming, Visualforce page also has to be get compiled by using a compiler. That is called as page compiler. That has to be get executed by using a runtime engine called as page renderer. There we are having Apex compiler, Apex runtime. Here we are having page compiler, page renderer. Okay, these are the two components are available here. Okay, note. Each Visualforce page will get compiled by using page compiler and will get executed by using page renderer. Okay, page renderer. These are the various principles of Visualforce programming. These are the rules and the principles that we need to follow as part of Visualforce programming. Okay. Then how the Visualforce programming page will get executed internally, and then whenever we are going to be having the Visualforce page, how many components are available? Like as what is that user interface part code, business logic part code, that is also called as Visualforce markup in Visualforce controller. How many types of controllers are available in Visualforce? And then what is the tag hierarchy? Whenever you are going with any page, whatever we have in Salesforce, now this page has been made up of so many components, so many small parts. This is one separate part, this is one separate part, this is separate part, this is separate part. These are all small parts over here. Like as a human body has been made up of so many components, so many parts. Like the similar way, this Visualforce page also. This page also has been made up of so many small parts. Then what are those parts? We'll split it. Okay, we will split it out each and every part. How they have prepared each and every part by using what tag, we'll see practically in tomorrow's session. Okay, so in tomorrow's session we'll see the Visualforce page tag hierarchy, and then we are going to be discussing about that tag properties also. Okay. Tomorrow we are having a 3-hour session, okay, 10:30 to 1:30. Okay,